Hello, and welcome to Chapter 26A of my TearRing Saga Champions of Utena low turn count playthrough. This map is the culmination of Runan's initial motivations as we return to his hometown of Rosalia to throw out the enemies occupying it once and for all. If we scan the map, it doesn't look like this is going to be much of a challenge at all, as there's only one enemy visible there, and that's the boss. However, there are actually a large number of other enemies all over the map. They're just invisible for some reason, which is part of the boss's plan to catch our army off guard and try and defeat us. Obviously that has no chance of working on us, but these invisible enemies are a bit of a pain. They all have high range, and so we're not going to be able to defeat them. We just have to put up with them attacking us on each enemy phase. Before we get into the map though, we have a fairly extensive preparation segment here. I'm doing quite a lot of cleaning out of inventories from the last map, and many of the stat boosters that we picked up on said map are now going into Raphael's inventory. He is going to be using quite a few of these, and notably he's also going to be using the Canto Scroll, because Canto is an important part of a mounted unit's mobility that Raphael simply does not get. We're deploying Arcus on this map, and for once it's not just because we have to deploy a certain number of units. He is going to be recruiting a new unit on this map for us, so it's important that we bring him. Among the usual suspect combat units that we're bringing, I'd like to highlight Vega, who is going to be killing the boss of this map. We've been feeding most of the bosses to Raphael for experience reasons, but there is an important reason to kill this boss with Vega that's more important than getting Raphael trained up. The goal of this map is to seize, so Vega is on a tight schedule to get over to the boss, along with Runan. There are also a very large number of houses all over this map, which contain a variety of items. Most of these items are not particularly useful, but I'm going to be trying to pick up as many of them as I can anyway. I'll be pointing out the important ones when we grab them. The last thing that we're doing in preps is handing out miracle charms to our fragile units, because they are going to need to sustain quite a few attacks from the invisible enemies during this map. Now I'd like to briefly talk about the boss, whose name is Lenzenheimer. He has been an absolutely brutal ruler to the Rosalians, and so this map is pretty much all about his karmic chickens coming home to roost. If you'll remember back in chapter 24, Lenzenheimer abandoned his father, Dolm, as a meat shield to try and save his own skin. And in this map, the Canaanite princes are now using Lenzenheimer for that exact same purpose. This is a part of the writing this game that I really appreciate, and Lenzenheimer is actually going to get a double dose of poetic justice in this map. I'll talk about the second half of that when it comes up. For now, we need to move on as we have started the map, and we are having Plum use her dance skills to start moving our units forward as fast as possible. In order to complete this map while also getting the objective of Vega killing the boss, we obviously need to dance both Runan and Vega. Due to Runan's starting position being a bit further away, we can safely delay dancing Runan until turn 2, so Vega gets the turn 1 dance. In this map, Raphael is making use of the main ghost strategy that I mentioned back in chapter 24, because there are several catapulters hiding in this map that will one-hit KO him, but once again, they are unable to hit him as long as he has the main ghost equipped. Mince goes into a house and picks up a Brave Lance, and this is the most important item from any of the houses on this map. We're going to be seeing that used in Runan's next map. And now Arcus is visiting another house in order to do his recruitment. The unit that we pick up here is Lena, who is an unpromoted cavalier in chapter 26. And that should tell you about all you need to know about how useful she's going to be in this run. Lena does come with the Paragon skill at base, but that's not going to help her all that much, especially when you remember how much trouble we had training Naron up, and that was half the game ago. Lena also doesn't have Naron's Gold Paladin promotion bonuses to make her worth the effort, so she is not going to be any use whatsoever. We're now seeing the enemy phase barrage from all of the invisible enemies, and as you can see there's quite a variety, including a meteor mage. I believe it is possible to kill these guys if you can counterattack them, but we don't have anyone who's capable of pulling that off at this moment, so we just have to put up with taking these attacks every turn. At the end of this turn though, we now see that there are some more visible enemies on this map, as reinforcements spawn in behind Lenzenheimer. These reinforcements are a little bit annoying and they can get in the way of us achieving our objectives on occasion, which is why all of the mounted units are rushing alongside Runen and Vega to make sure that their way is clear. Meanwhile, I'm picking up all the houses that I can reach with some of my more durable units, like Zachariah and Rishel. Of the non-Brave Lance items that we are getting on this map, probably the most useful ones are the leather shields that we're going to be picking up. Nothing else has any particular value to the rest of the run, and it's just there because I wanted to get as many of these houses as I possibly could. Runen is now getting danced, and he is going to end up within one movement of the seize point here, and we need to put together the rest of our army in a way that makes sure that his way doesn't get blocked by any of the mounted reinforcements. To that end, we're going to have Vega wall off the end of this street and use the Shram in order to take as little damage as possible. However, the Shram is actually about to break with only one use remaining. That's not a terrible thing because as a starred weapon, it doesn't actually disappear from your inventory when it breaks. Unlike in some other Fire Emblem games though, it doesn't stay as a broken weapon that has huge weight and no might. Instead, once it breaks, it's just going to leave Vega weaponless until he can equip a new weapon on the subsequent player phase. It's good that it doesn't disappear, because Shram is a big part of Vega's durability, and so we're going to be hammering it in a few maps' time. Moving on, I would like to point out that there is a secret shop on this map, and I could have positioned Naron in such a way as to get it. Doing this might have been a pretty good idea, because this secret shop sells some pretty strong bows, including the Chukonu and Arbalest. Unfortunately, because of how the reinforcements move, it's quite unreliable for Naron to be able to enter it. And luckily, there are no real places where we need those powerful bows in future maps. So I decided not to worry about doing it in this final clear. And that pretty much sums up this map. All we have to do now is endure one last enemy barrage from the invisible enemies, and then we're going to be picking up just a last few houses before we finally get to make our move on the boss. Thanks to the main Gauche, Raphael has a pretty good chance of surviving this enemy phase. I believe if both of those aerospace had hit him, he would have died, but he easily dodges both of them, and we managed to get through that. So we pick up the last couple of houses that we're going to get, and the most notable thing in the houses that I miss out on is a Miracle Charm, which I would have kind of liked to get because you can never have too many of those, but unfortunately it just didn't come together. There's also a Hero Crest if you are somehow low on promotion items at this point in the game. Mince is now demonstrating how valuable Flurry can be by using it to one-round KO this extremely bulky gold paladin using the Killer Lance. None of my other units really have any way to one-round KO this guy, and we need him out of the way so that Vega and Runen can both get past. And that really shows just how useful Mince is even when he's not in a position to be the main boss killer. So, talking of boss killers, Vega is about to attack Lenzenheimer, And the entire reason that we have Vega in our army is because of Lenzenheimer. So the thing is, back near the start of the game, Lenzenheimer murdered his own mother and then blamed it on Julia as a scapegoat. And to solidify his lie, he sent Vega after Julia in order to kill the one person who could possibly contradict him. Of course, in doing so, that meant that Vega came into contact with our army and joined us. And he is now back, knowing that Lenzenheimer lied to him, and he's not happy about it, as you can see, as he easily one-round KOs Lenzenheimer and gets his revenge for being used like that. In killing Lenzenheimer, he also picks up a special weapon, the Lukud, which has an extremely high 80 base critical, and that is going to be coming in very handy very soon. And that frees up the throne for Runan to seize the chapter and complete it in 3 turns. This then leads into Runan's promotion to Great Lord. From this promotion, he gains 2 class skills, the first of which is Adept, which he already has, and the second of which is Charisma, which has the same effect as Lan's Mirror, raising the hit and avoid of allies within 3 spaces by 5 points each. I'm not quite sure why the Dan translator went with Charisma for this skill, when it has been officially localized as Charm since Fire Emblem Awakening. Especially since the stated goal was to align this translation patch with Fire Emblem terminology as much as possible. But that's what we've got, and so I'm going to be calling it Charisma for the rest of this playthrough. That's all for this video. I will see you next time.